So today I wanted to offer a guided rain meditation on working with aversion or shame. So this meditation brings clarity and self-compassion through the rain practice to the suffering of aversion or shame. And it helps us see that the conditioning that we shape, that we judge ourselves about, it helps us remember who we are beyond our habitual painful narrative. Shame is so insidious. It's so sticky, and it just really can just keep with you for so long. And there's no end to it. It just stays and stays and stays. And I'm distinguishing it between guilt. Guilt is like, oops, I made a mistake. I need to go back and fix that. Or I need to apologize. Okay. When I'm talking about the shame, I'm talking about a real sense of like it's sticky, it's you feeling unworthy and have a really hard time moving into examining what's going on. I was just remembering an experience I had working as a 911 operator back in the early 90s. And I was brought in, and this was when we had a CAD system that was really complex. We each had these little index card files, and we had to memorize 200 codes. We didn't have like systems like today. Every code had to be memorized. And during the training, I sat with another operator, and as the calls came in, I needed to code them very quickly and send them to dispatch appropriately. And I was set with a trainer who was like, you shouldn't have done that, this and that, all this stuff, like, this tension. And the trainer had my best interest in mind, trying to be tough, trying to help me understand this is the way it is. And I even overheard the trainer saying at lunch to another coworker, I don't know if she's going to make it. She's too sensitive. And so I really took that in. And I thought, maybe I'm not. Maybe this isn't going to work. And so I went to my supervisor and said, I'm thinking about withdrawing from the training program. And he said, wait a minute, let me think about this. Just take it easy, take a break, I'll come to you. And he found a different trainer to work with me. And so that afternoon, I worked with this other trainer. And every time I did something, she just said, what did you learn? How did that go? How did that feel for you? What do you think about what happened? What might you do different? What did you learn? And I just sat back and just went like, whoa. My learning just went like through the roof. Within 2 days, I knew half of those codes by heart, and I was able to move forward. My fingers just touched the keys, and I was able to send ambulance, fire, police. I was able to just do what was needed and take notes appropriately and put them in for the dispatcher. My goodness, because I wasn't being like really rigidly shamed for everything I was doing. It was just like, well, this is interesting. And I just said, wow, I feel really great about this. And I actually really loved the job. It was such a team effort at that time. And of course, I couldn't stay with it for very long because there wasn't any childcare support. And the Seattle Police Department had childcare for all of the workers, and Minneapolis didn't have that. And so I was often asked to work overtime, and I couldn't do that. And so I wasn't able to stay long term. But anyway, a little bit about my story and how much it is really important to look at when shame is just sticking into your system. Like it's like really strong scotch tape. And so we can change our perspective though and ask ourselves, how can we learn? Just be here to learn. Because it shifts humiliation into humility. And this is a different approach. A lot of approaches are like to feel into your basic goodness and to work with that. But I don't know, sometimes in shame, you're like, that is like a foreign territory. I'm not there. But if you can just shift into this learning process and see that you're here to learn, in fact, to tap into not self is to have nothing but learning. Like, that's it. There's like, what's going on is just what's going on every single moment. Impermanence is the most clear and direct form of humility, to know that directly. So that's my little offering, and let's begin. Let's start with getting comfortable, setting aside distractions. Find a posture that's comfortable for you, and I invite you in to just tuning in to learning and seeing what's considering what's coming up for you as I offer a guided meditation on rain. So we're just creating a foundation for practice, which is compassionate awareness and a sense of openness. So even if there's some resistance, if you can be open to the resistance or the fear or difficulty within you, we're all here to learn. We make mistakes. That's actually part of the fun of training ourselves. So just recognize any shame or aversion to yourself. Or perhaps you're working with another difficult part that you'd like to work with instead. So you're free to choose what works for you. So just pick a part of yourself, like a situation. It could be some neglect or something in your relationships. Any way in which you're sort of freezing toward yourself. And just breathe in a way that feels really nourishing and helpful for you right now. And just gently, with some willingness, approach this particular difficulty in your mind and body. You might even sense into the worst part of it, or a part that you feel able to work with. Is it shame? Is it aversion? Is it fear? Just find a word that fits for you, that you can mentally note or whisper what you notice. And we're just circling in and just kind of in a gentle spiral coming into this recognition and this willingness to work with something difficult. And remembering to breathe in and breathe out. That actually our breath energies are touching in to the focus of our attention. Our breath energies are highly intelligent energies, And we want to welcome in the breath as we're working with any kind of difficulty. And just allowing, creating some space. If a toddler had skinned their knee out on the driveway, you might pick them up to comfort them. So think about how you can use that wise part of yourself to comfort you. You have that capacity as well. And just like you might set them down on the kitchen counter to really look at the torn skin and the bruised knee. Just allow, letting your head rest on the shoulder of another in your mind. And just feeling into that, like as if you have all the time in the world to just be with this moment. You might need to breathe through some pain or tension, giving this part of your body support and care. You could even touch it with the palm of your hand. Any difficulty. Some of this aversion or shame has a kind of frozenness to it. And so if we can bring the warmth of our heart, we can start to melt that tension and that view. Just giving your body a sense of support and care right now. Like wrapping yourself in a big blanket of love and kindness. And as you see this frozenness or this harshness, this difficulty, you might notice how this aversion or shame or fear holds you down. What does it feel like to replace it with compassion and kindness? This is what is here. Just being with this process and feeling into the body with honesty and willingness. Just bringing in compassion with the light of awareness it shines a light into that shame. You may bring in that wise part of you to sit next to you, or the eyes of a wise being, watching and with you. And as you inquire, you may notice how you learned to do this in many different ways. You may see a stream of ways in which you learned this. At school, perhaps, in family, relationships, many ways it was carried. And you didn't know. But now you can see, and you can breathe in and through this tension with kindness and love, creating a healing space. You can perhaps ask, what does life want me to know about this today? Or how might I meet life in a new way? Just see what comes to you as you use your own natural curiosity. And as we continue to nurture ourselves, invite in a feeling of resting in an open-hearted presence. That which is interested in being a student of life. And trusting in this openness has more flexibility. Perhaps you can sense into that. A feeling of basic goodness, like an innocent child or a puppy, learning with an open face to the world. Learning includes not knowing and meeting our ignorance so that we can grow new skills of compassion and kindness. So see if you can touch into this space now to appreciate your conscious choice and your willingness to check in with yourself and do this practice. Breathing in a way that feels nourishing. And also knowing that this is a process, that it may continue throughout the day today as you've touched into your consciousness. And so through the goodness that arises from this practice and through our act of sharing, May violence and delusion be eroded. May we radiate compassion for ourselves and for beings who are suffering, particularly those that you are with and that you're touching and listening to today. And may we each come to know the blessings of this human life.